for the first time ever, a government building in Kyiv was hit by a Russian aerial attack overnight. This, as President Trump said moments ago, that he's ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia. The Ukrainian military says more than 800 Russian drones were deployed against cities across the country. At least 4 people, including an infant, were killed. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is calling the attacks vile. And President Trump's Ukraine envoy says Russia appears to be now escalating the war. I want to bring in CNN Global Affairs analyst Kim Dozier. Kim, great to see you. I mean, the building that houses the Ukrainian prime minister's office was also struck in this assault. What do you read in this kind of targeting?
It is hard to know whether Russia has tried to hit these buildings before, but was not able to make it through the anti-missile and anti-aircraft protection around it, or if this was intentional. Previously, they've hit other parts of the city, but this attack was 800 drones and missiles. Some of the drones were what's called dummy drones. They don't have a warhead, but they're launched to confuse the anti-aircraft systems on the ground so that many of them can then get through. Whether it was intentional or not, they did hit one of the buildings in the governing complex over Kyiv. And they also, once again, hit residential buildings, killing civilians. And these were residential buildings, at least one of them, according to reporters on the ground, it was hit by a drone. Drones are guided. Drones have some sort of capability to see where they're going. So it's hard to see this as anything but Vladimir Putin saying, I will do what I want for as long as I want, no matter what the White House says, because I am not ready to stop making war yet.
And this, as President Trump is, giving Putin now 2 weeks to make a peace deal with Ukraine. And the deadline was last Thursday. No deal happened. But Trump said moments ago that he is ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia. And I mean, they haven't worked so far. Is this what it's going to take to get Russia to the negotiating table?
Well, the last set of sanctions that Trump struck was against India, giving India an extra 25% tariffs for a total of 50% tariffs against their goods so that India would stop buying Russian crude. The thing is, a lot of that Russian crude that India buys, it sells on to Europe as finished products. And these tariffs didn't in any way affect China, which buys far more Russian crude than India does. Plus, also, India was so incensed over the tariffs that they have raised their orders for the fall by 10 to 20% for more crude. So that really hasn't done much to damage the Russian war machine. It is hard to know if Trump is ready to actually hit some of the areas like the oligarchs, something that would hit closer to the Russian centers of power, like he did in his first term. He's been advised to do that. He's been given those tools by his advisors, like General Keith Kellogg, who does fully understand what Moscow is about. The question is that we're all waiting and watching to see, will he finally lose patience with Putin and pull the trigger on something that will actually be painful to Putin himself?
Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks ago. There was the Alaska summit. The president left that very hopeful. But now Zelensky is actually criticizing that event. Listen to what he had to say.
I think that President Trump gave Putin what he wanted. He wanted very much to meet with President Trump, with the president of the United States. And I think that Putin got it, and it's a pity.
And how do you suppose those comments are going to be interpreted? Because Zelensky has tried to be really complimentary of this White House, especially after the debacle of that, Oval Office meeting earlier in the year. But now that he is, I guess, bold enough to say that, be critical, and that Putin has gained something from that summit, how will that be met at the White House?
You can almost see Zelensky thinking out loud, like, should I say this? And then he finally says the emperor has no clothes on type statement. Everyone has since understood, watching what Putin has done since the summit, that he has squandered Trump's good wishes and goodwill and used that photo op to the maximum. But the question is Trump also equally upset with what Putin has done in the aftermath? It hasn't looked like it, but Trump can he can run out of patience, and it happens suddenly. So if he feels in any way humiliated by what Putin is doing, then we're going to see a change in policy. What you have seen Putin also do is make a lot of different statements, like his most recent one at an economic summit was that if there are foreign troops inside Ukraine, this would be ostensibly after some sort of peace deal, and these are the reassurance forces promised by Europe to Ukraine. This is a deal still being worked out. Putin has said that those would be valid targets. This is not the kind of message you send if you're going to allow Ukraine, as Putin has previously said, to continue to exist as an independent nation that needs its own protection.